raining plastic in Colorado. That's according to USGS Report and documents, and we'll go into that and show you that. There's the battle for the future and the battle for the world. Hong Kong and all of those stuff going on can intensify and cause the bigger war situation to happen. We got lots of other situations that's transpiring in the world that we should focus on. And so I'm going to give you information that people have been telling me on the ground, and also information from these USGS documents. But we're going to go ahead into it and talk about this here today, because it definitely needs to be talked about. Now, remember, my prediction was that if the rain becomes toxic and the algal blooms and stuff like that all rise up, condensation, precipitation type of situation, I said that we'll have toxic rain, but they're saying now we have plastic in the rain. We'll go to reports of that. We'll go to the documents in a second. It's raining plastic. USGS finds microplastics in 90% of Colorado's rainwater samples. And they showed their specimen study on the documents. And right here, you can see all of that if you just look at it. And we'll have links below to the documents after it's over with. But we'll talk about this specifically today. And so it says, random plastic microscopic fibers fall from the sky in Rocky Mountain. Discovery raises new questions about the amount of plastic waste permeating the air, water, soil, and virtually everywhere on Earth. And you just think about all this scenario that we're hearing of right now. And then you think about all the projects that's happening on the planet by the global New World Order as well. So as this USGS report comes out, we're going to put you into it and let you read into it. Scientists collected samples from rainwater from 8 different sites. So they found plastic particles present in more than 90% of the samples. We're going to show you some of the sample looks. More plastic was found to be contained in samples pulled from urban locations than remote locations. The frequent presence of plastic in samples from the study's most remote sites suggests that wet deposit plastic is how you say the word, and not just in urban conditions. It's too early to say for certain how these plastics accumulated and being assimilated in the environment and in living organisms, and more research needs to be done to determine the long-term impact. So there you go. Plastic in the water. We'll talk about more of the documents and get into it and show you the little samples of what they found as well in this report. But it's a lot of other stuff that I got to talk about. It's crazy. And when I get up here, I'm thinking like, am I hyping stuff up? And I'm not hyping nothing up. I'm just sitting here showing you the information, and just more nasty, sick stuff coming out, like human blood found in beef and in multiple different locations in Mississippi and lots of other areas. I told you it was a plan to try to get us to become cannibals. Oh yeah, they recalled it. And then they said, oh, it was just somebody who cut themselves, and leaked into lots of supplies of the beef. That was all it was. Human blood may have contaminated beef shipped to Florida. It was more than Florida. So let's go ahead and take you into that. And it says, the blood in this meat might be human blood. The meat went to a restaurant in Florida. Possible blood in the beef, human blood in the beef. It says, caused the latest not food in your food recall. What the heck that supposed to mean? Which was made by U.S. Foods Saturday. The problem was discovered after facility learned that the employee may have cut himself during production on Thursday. The USDA recall notice states the beef went to restaurants in Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Alabama. The restaurants are, of course, told to put the beef in the garbage, not on the grill. But hey, you never know. You could have already ate it. And that's the thing here. And they say, oh, you just cut yourself. It was an employee who cut himself. That's a dang on freaking lie. I mean, Bozo the clown shouldn't even believe that. But the thing is this, if you get cut and you're an employee, yeah, it's sometimes where you kind of like don't realize you're cut. But for you to leak into a supply and then they have to recall it from Mississippi, from Tennessee, and all this stuff, this is all a lie. So again, if human blood has leaked into that, that's just a clever story they'll probably give me, and then something else even deeper behind that. So the employee himself would have known even after he got done. He would have seen some blood leaking. And some people are going to say, well, he could have had a glove on. You can even feel blood in your gloves and for you to leak blood out. But again, like we said, they want to legalize human composting, and they have done it in Washington, where you can plant dead humans and then you can grow it up and eat it, sickly enough. But that's just something I wanted to put out there to you. If you're eating the beef, I haven't bought beef in a long time, so I mean, I don't even worry about that, but I'm giving that report to you because it's crazy. So moving back into the stuff that we want to talk about, we got all this stuff happening in the world in the ever-evolving situation and all the pollution and then the globalist New World Order, how they spray chemtrails. And this is what they want right here. It says China pollution is so bad it's blocking sunlight from solar panels. As the world's largest consumer of solar power, China's energy industry is attempting to move from its coal-burning past toward a more sustainable future. But sometimes the past isn't easily forgotten. And so, yeah, all that pollution, this is what the globalist New World Order want. They want us to have the sun blocked. And they're the clowns who said they're trying to block the sun, remember? And so they want us to not be able to use solar panels. They want all that crazy stuff. And remember, Harvard scientists begin experiment to block out the sun. So you got massive pollution, but you also have the effect of them altering the climate. They already admitted that too. And I'll take you to, but what's the name of this? I'll take you to the name of this Harvard scientist, which is a globalist university. So you should always remember that. The name of this project of dimming the sun that they're trying to do is called a Stratosphere Controlled Perturbation Experiment. It says SCOPAX is a scientific experiment to advance understanding of stratospheric aerosols that could be relevant to solar geoengineering. It aims to improve the fidelity of simulations, computer models of solar geoengineering by providing modelers with experimental results vital to addressing specific science questions, such as simulations are the primary tool for estimating the risks and the benefits of solar geoengineering, but current limitations may make the simulations look too good. And it says we'll make quantitative measurements of aspects of aerosol in microphysics and atmospheric chemistry that are currently highly uncertain in the simulation. It is not a test of solar geoengineering per se. Instead, it will observe how particles interact with one another. That's what they tell you. So it's like, oh, we're going to try to spray some crap in the sky like calcium carbonate, which if we spray too much of it, don't worry, you'll get kidney cancer, and that's all up in there. And again, they already got the aluminum and mercury in there. They're trying to vaccinate you through the sky. They're trying to vaccinate you through the water. They're doing all types of crazy stuff. So it's important to really know what the heck is going on. But it was people telling me in Texas that algae was killing dogs, and I didn't even believe it when I first heard it. Remember, we told you there was blue-green algae leaking into water supplies in multiple different areas last year, and then over here on the Gulf Coast. Now, recently, one of the sulfur smells was at one of my boys, TJ's house. He said, I smell that sulfur smell. It smelled like eggs in the water. And I was like, maybe the blue-green algae did leak into the water supply. I mean, a couple weeks back, I had broke out and all types of stuff was happening. And so shower filters and all that stuff is important too, people. But just going into it, they were saying dogs was killed by the blue-green algae, and the report is actually out there. Like, and it's crazy, man. I just hear people telling me this stuff, and they always contacting me, and it's people from all over, United States and everywhere. It says dogs killed by algal bloom sparks concern in Attleboro area and beyond. And it says national news reports of dogs dying after swimming in ponds covered with blue-green algae have set off alarm bells for pet owners everywhere. According to reports, 3 dogs died in Washington, not Washington, but Willington, North Carolina, after cooling off in a pond covered with toxic plants. Another is reported to have died after swimming in a lake in Georgia. So you want to watch out for that. We're not telling this information to say, oh my God, it's the end of the world. Now, they wanted to be the end of the world by polluting our planet and doing all this crazy stuff. But we're telling you about this because it's actually what people are starting to confirm and see. And like I said, I was told this way before this article. I didn't even look at this article until I was told this by somebody. And so then I looked up the article, and then it's like, oh shoot, well, it's probably starting to happen. 1 billion by 2025 in U.S. government reports. That's by the United Nations. They plan to displace people because of that crisis. I mention that all the time because it's so important that right now we continue to get water. And like I said, when you do that, you need to definitely filter that water like we do. And the whole hoax about the climate situation is just crazy because they'll even admit to you that they're trying to alter parts of the climate. Doesn't mean they're going to become gods of the climate. It just means that they are altering certain areas of the climate, and they're being like lab testers who also cause bad things to happen. Because even in their old reports, it was telling us that, hey, you're going to try these experiments out, but this is not going to go well. And so they'll do things and they'll be able to control certain things for a little while, and then it'll spiral out of control. But Bill Gates backing geoengineering projects, a handful of philanthropic billionaires, including Gates, are funding private research efforts into a Plan B for climate change. Wow, that sounds like, Plan B is a sterilization program, isn't it? For children when you about to have a kid. But Plan B for climate change should the UN and politicians fail to arrive for a solution. So Bill Gates is funding that, and he already sterilizes you with vaccines with multiple different people in India, in the United States, multiple different people across the world. Sterilization program. So maybe Bill Gates is talking about he wants to sterilize us throughout the sky with particles coming down. And the fact of the matter is that every day you walk out, you're breathing in toxic chemicals and stuff like that, all in the environment. And all these globalists sit here and tell you that they're trying to alter the climate. But then they say climate change is the problem, when they definitely know they have way more money than all the population. They can fix and alter the climate how they want, but they also could actually make changes happen by actually cleaning out the environment and how things happen. But again, that comes back down to the whole situation of trying to get you to pay for carbon taxes, trying to get you to pay for rain taxes. People are already paying for it. It's crazy. But going into this report here, next is the lab I wanted to talk about that shut down, because it was a guy who said he knew somebody who was active duty who was at the place before it got shut down. And he got shut down because they couldn't decontaminate the water that they was putting all of the dang pathogens in. And yeah, they was trying to create the Ebola vaccines and all that stuff there. So CDC shut down an Army lab that's working on Ebola vaccine. And also talking about it, Fort Derrick, USA, MRID biological disease research lab shut down by CDC. I had told y'all about that already last week. We learned an embarrassing turn of events. U.S. Army Medical Research Institute infectious disease had its research put on hold following a visit in June 2019 by the Center of Disease Control Prevention, who inspected level 3 and level 4 laboratories. And level 4, that's where they got the Ebola. That's where they got stuff that's so resistant that they don't have anything to cure it. If it gets out, it just kills you. But anyway, and found them to not meet biosafety standards, not what one wants to hear. It says role is creating defensive mechanisms against other nations' biological weapons. CDC and USAMRID were both quick to not note that no infectious pathogens or disease-causing material were found outside the laboratories where the research or shortage was expected. So yeah, a very dangerous situation on that. It was senators asking about the situation as well, but they couldn't decontaminate the water, and even reports had said that as well. Giving you all this information here is just mind-boggling, but it's so important for us as people to interact with other people, ask about these situations, find out what's happening, and people always do that with me, and they always send me information, so I'm so glad that this community does that. I get to have intel from people all across the world, and not only just having intel, but also evaluating that intel and not just going right off of what you see or right off somebody sending you something. You have to go into it and really evaluate it even deeper. But they've already put out another report too, talking about how we need to prepare for a hurricane season that is way more above normal than we usually have. So I wanted to give you that information too. So that civil war and all this stuff sparks up major events. Hong Kong situation could spark United States intervention and mess with global markets. Also, they tell us that hurricane tracker, prepare your family peak of hurricane season to be worse this year. And that sounds like there's going to be some weather warfare. Hurricane season is well underway with powerful storms developing in both Pacific and Atlantic Ocean since early June, according to officials. 2019 season could be worse than usual. That's what they are saying here. And it says hurricane trackers are expected a worse usual season. And it says with 5% more storms than previously predicted, hurricane season starting on June 25th this year, which Hurricane Alvin is likely to continue until November. The most recent was Hurricane Eric, which stormed towards Hawaii with winds up to 130 miles per hour. As Category 4 system, officials believe another 9 hurricanes could be on the way, and they say major ones. I think all of them maybe supposed to be major ones. I had a report. We'll go back to that. But I've been jumping around, but talking about a lot of topics, but crazy, man. Just human blood up in the meat. And they say it was an employee who cut himself. And they just act like it's all normal. They recall out of the meat and stuff like that as well. We're going to talk about the microscopic fibers in the plastic, though, here in a second for you. But like I said, it was a plan to try to get people to become cannibals and put all this crazy stuff in the meat supply and to infect you. You can get help. You can get all types of health diseases. You can get plenty HIV diseases depending on what the person had. So I hope you tell a lot of people about that. Moving into the other part, though, as we were talking about the plastic in the USGS report that was found in 90% of Colorado's rainwater samples, we're going to go into that report and then show you like some of the specimen things that they had as well that they put out. And so it's raining plastic. Microscopic fibers fall from the sky, and Rocky Mountain's discovery raises new questions about the amount of plastic waste permeating the air, water, and soil virtually everywhere on Earth. And so then they go down with this report, and it says plastic was the furthest thing from Gregory Weatherby's mind when he began analyzing rainwater samples collected from Rocky Mountains. I guess I expect to see mostly soil and mineral particles, said the U.S. Geological Survey researcher. Instead, he found multicolored microscopic plastic fibers. Discovery published in a recent study PDF. I got the PDF, which is the document I'll show you in a second. I already showed you most of it though. Title: It is raining plastic, raising new questions about amount of plastic waste permeating the air, water, and soil virtually everywhere. I think the most important result that we can share with the American public is that there's more plastic out there than meets the eye, said Weatherby. It's in the rain, it's in the snow, it's part of our environment now. Rainwater samples collected across Colorado, analyzed under a microscope, contain rainbow plastic fibers, as well as beads and shards. The findings shocked Weatherby, who had been collecting samples in order to study nitrogen pollution. Now, it has a lot of other stuff that you hear them talking about in there that he's not telling the American public, like everything that's being sprayed from the atmosphere that also comes down as well and hits the soil. What about that? I know the USGS has way more than they're telling us here, because just from the studies and research I've done myself and find out these fibers that falls down, which has been seen, and some people was talking about it could have been, what was the name of it? I don't want to speculate here, but I'll talk about it in a second here. Let's just stick with this for a second. A major contributor is trash, said Sherry Mason, a microplastic researcher. It is impossible to trace the tiny pieces back to their sources, Mason said, but also anything that's made of plastic could be shredding particles into the atmosphere. No, y'all are shooting particles into the atmosphere as well. And those particles get incorporated into water droplets when it rains, she added, then wash into rivers, lakes, bays, and oceans, and into the groundwater sources. Oh yeah, just like the pesticides y'all was spraying on the crops, that got into the water supply. Again, we're not saying USGS did it, but that was the World Organization who approved it and started spraying antifungal agents, all types of other stuff. But those scientists have been studying plastic pollution in the ocean for more than a decade. They can only find about 1% of it. Researchers know even less about the amount of plastic in fresh water. Okay, plastic is a big deal, I guess, but what's even more of a big deal is that the blue-green algae is killing dogs, and then after that, if it starts to seep into the rain supply, it's more than what they're telling us in the rain supply. That's basically what we're telling you. And so we know this because evaluating everything that's been happening and seeing how the environment is polluted in certain areas, it's only logical that the rain would start to get even more poison from pollution, for one, from particles in the atmosphere and whatever they're doing up there. And all that comes down too. So he was talking about black little beads and everything he was seeing. He wasn't telling us everything, but he was giving us what he felt should have been detailed to us. And so that becomes a situation as well, that it's not everything being told to us here. And just by all the studies I've done, I 100% know that they're not telling us everything here. So it's more than that in the water supply. And again, we're just giving these reports because it's just all crazy because of people who really know what's happening with the environment. They pretend that we are the biggest problem, but also they don't want to really go after the problems in the environment and tackle them instead of making it a corporate solution to gain more money and then actually deteriorate us from within. That's what the UN's deal is about. The sustainable development is to deteriorate us from within, siphon up all the wealth to the top of the rich elite. So that's what all this big major plan is about. And if you read about it in all the documents, you simply find out is that, oh, they're coming to save us while yet stealing all the resources that we see happening right in front of our eyes and saying like we're going to be these great people. They're actually not. But you can go to My Patriot Supply. That's the link below. It's lots of great stuff there. It's water filtration systems. It's stuff for your face to filter out nanoparticles. And again, this is stuff you're definitely going to need for the future. If you don't have that, you're not going to survive long. Like we said, it's a proven fact that they can put polio virus in the water. It's a proven fact they can put norovirus in the water. It's a proven fact that cysts is in the water and all types of stuff. And so even when you just evaluate the water and you pour it into a cup and you see multiple small little speckles of air bubbles, well, sometimes that indicates that there's something in your water that's actually not supposed to be there. It's like kind of when you take a piss, you see a bunch of bubbles. When you clean your water, you look at it, you don't see all those bubbles sitting at the top right there in this little form where it's like, what the heck? And you shake the cup. I mean, I just noticed a lot of stuff that people don't really look at. So we're giving you that. But rain in the water, plastic in the water, we'll go ahead and take you to the documentation of it because it's supposed to take you to it. Let's try to zoom in on it here. It says it's raining plastic. And then they show you some of the photographs over here of the plastic collected. It says by the NUANC. And then it says explanation of labels. C006, and it's a bunch of that there. I'm going to put this document below so you can look into it. It says the Network for Urban Atmospheric Nitrogen Chemistry is an NTN, a sub-network of 5 sites in Denver and Boulder, Colorado, urban corridor. An additional urban site, CO84, is located outside Boulder, Colorado, rural and remote mountain. NTN sites are nearly informed southeast trending transect of NTN sites with NUANC. So we're going to put the link below to this document so you can get it. But crazy times and information all unveiling. But we get this information because we can counter what's happening. We can know that what's happening in the atmosphere is going to affect the future. And so we want to see these situations stop. But if we can't stop them, we have to get the items we need to stop it and prepare for all these global events that are coming to our near future. So that's the information. Thanks for tuning in live here. We wanted to break that down with you. If you see some stuff that you need to know or that we need to know, you can share that with us. I'll evaluate it and do my research and look deeply into it. But I'm telling you, they're not telling us everything that's in the rain. And so I know that because of the studies and research and analysis and stuff that's happening. And toxic rain has already started sparking in some areas. So we're going to get more into that. We're going to give you more information. And we definitely wanted to talk about this because, you know, people always talk about what if we have the power to pray and just change all this stuff that's happening. I hear people talk about that all the time. And it would have to be like some powerful people to do that because, you know, you hear stories about people praying and causing mass things to just happen. And that's like out of the normal for most people to think, though. Most people wouldn't even believe that. But me, myself, I could believe that. But it would take like some really spiritually powerful people as the dark ones on the planet hope to bring us down. So this is the process upon the planet. This is the process upon the people. This is like, they're just demons, period, because they want to darken out the sun. They want just catastrophe. And we're just here fighting back against all of it, standing up against evil all over the world, and giving you the information that you can fight back with it. And so knowledge is so powerful. I can't tell you how powerful knowledge is. Just having colloidal silver is important. I say every family need to have colloidal silver, because I had my little brother down sick the other day. I go over to my mom's. I was like, what are you doing? I'm like, don't buy this man no medicine. And my little brother didn't even take the medicine. Went to sleep. He was down for a couple hours. They said, I came with the colloidal silver. He already knew it was going to work. I used it on him all the time. Gave him a drip of that. He was literally up within 10 minutes and looking like he never was sick. And everybody was like, oh, Dr. Steven. And I'm like, look, this is the real deal. So colloidal silver, and people say, well, does it have side effects? Colloidal silver is not supposed to have side effects. You're getting that from the industry. That's why it has side effects. And colloidal silver, it was only a nanoparticle that came from the earth. It kills pathogens, and it's fused with distilled water. It's shown to have no symptoms, reportedly, when it's in its clean source. But when you go to the stores and they taint it with mercury, they taint it with all these other metals and all this other stuff, you get all these different reactions. It's just like iodine. When you get it from the stores, it gives you chemical reactions on your skin. So again, that's what you need to know about that. And so we're giving you information because we want to help you, not because we want to hurt you or we want to scare you, but we want you to be more prepared for these events that's evolving all of us around the world. And again, one day we'll be bonding together and talking about this in person probably. Thanks for tuning in live. Hope you share it out and get out the information. I'm going to leave a document below about the USGS documented study about plastic in the water, which they didn't tell us everything, because they discovered other things in the rainwater and didn't tell you what it was. So thanks for tuning in.